Hey, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me, Bruce.
Usually I have a partner with me, but he got tied up today doing something, so you got just me.
Oh, well, we'll miss him.
Where are you located? You out in California?
I'm in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay, so not too far.
hmm
What's it like out there today? Nice?
Actually, yeah, it's in the mid 80s, which is unseasonably cool.
Are you guys affected with any of this weird smoke that's coming from Canada? Or not at all?
Oh, did I lose you?
You there? You there? Check, check. Hello? 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 Hey, you there?
Oh, now
Hey,
I
you're
got
back.
you.
No, that's...
Yeah.
Are you guys affected with any of this Canadian stuff? The smoke?
Luckily, no, thank God.
Because I'm in Richmond and it's pretty hazy, and I mean you could tell it and you could smell it. It's not as bad as I guess up in New York or whatever, but it's pretty.
Yeah. I can't even, like, I'm seeing my friends' pictures from New York, and I'm
Isn't
like,
that crazy?
I can't even believe the sky over there looks like that. That's the bad places in California look like that.
Yeah, it's like apocalyptic almost.
Really, it's scary.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Let's talk about you. Your new single, "Song of Hope" and "Lavender Mountains" are out. What's been the response to them so far?
So far, really good. I'm grateful to say people have been open towards them, and especially Lavender Mountains with the music video and the uplifting kind of theme to it and stuff seem to resonate with people. So I'm glad. I do feel like we do need some positivity in our lives.
Holy cow, you ain't kidding. I mean, it's been such a difficult process.
Right.
What message, if you had a message to give to your fans, or what takeaway do you want them to walk away with after listening to those songs?
I mean, I guess it is the message of hope, and just a reminder that we can all be in a good space. We have to be kind to one another, and we have to want to be positive and everything, but it all snowballs on that, So
I
that's
so
kind of what I'm
agree.
about.
And like you turn on the news every day and it's just almost overwhelming. And I 100% agree. We need, especially music, because I think music
Yeah.
connects with people in such a different level that you kind of need that stuff to sort of get through.
I'm glad you think so, because, as someone who likes heavy music too, I know that sometimes the way that we cope is maybe with angrier music, heavier
Right.
music. And I totally understand that. And this is just kind of coming from a different place.
So I think you're right. I do like heavier stuff, and it's definitely a heavy metal podcast. But we kind of step outside the box when we connect with stuff, when we listen to different things. In fact, this afternoon I just had JD Pincus from the Butthole Surfers on,
Oh, cool.
and he's doing like this weird psychedelic banjo stuff, which
Nice.
sounds absolutely ridiculous, but for some reason it
see it.
resonated, so I had to get him on the show. So it's the
Nice.
same thing with your work. I definitely like the heavier stuff, but I think you can think outside the box, and music connects with you. Sometimes you don't even know why. Sometimes I find a rap song that just sort of hits.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I've always felt that way. To me, it's music, and I'm going to let that drive me wherever it lands. And hopefully people are open to it. And so, like I said, I'm grateful that that's been the case.
So the fans of your heavier work with like Dethklok and all that stuff, they've been sort of open, or is it a whole new?
I believe so. I mean, it's hard to tell, because it seems that way. It seems that people that have known me through that are just overall music fans and guitar fans, and haven't had, I don't think it was like that big of a stretch from them, from what I'm seeing. I mean, I don't know, like, who
Right,
knows?
right.
But yeah.
When you sit down to write, are you setting into that space with a theme in mind, or do you just write what comes to mind and then let it go from there?
It depends. Most of the time nowadays, the ideas come to me. I hear them in my head, and back in the early days, that used to be maybe just a little part of a melody, or it was really foggy and I could only pick out a few of the notes, and the rest was like really hard to hear. And
Right.
through the years of sifting through that, now I hear more stuff, and I hear maybe some arrangement ideas or things like that. So I jot down, mostly in voice memos, I sing the ideas into the phone. I jot down whatever other notes I hear at that moment about the arrangement. And then when it's time for me to sit down and flesh it out and demo it out, then I kind of take all those notes down and sketch it out. So that's been my process as of late. But that's not to say that, you know, some of the writing does come when you're sketching it up and you have to complete something. Sometimes it's not the entire song that you just receive magically, right. You know? So there is that labor of love of sitting there and working the rest of it out. And it's all different ways of the same thing, you know? So as long as I kind of try to remember to let my ear lead, even if I'm not hearing the idea right away, I don't want to be the kind of writer that kind of relies on the guitar to drive finger patterns to write something with. You know, that's not where I'm going. I'm really trying to lead with what I'm hearing. So even if that's in the context of sitting down and sketching something out that's already halfway done, that's always the priority.
Do you sit down and write like stuff like Lavender Mountains specifically, or does it just come out that way? So I guess what I'm saying is, are you opposed to like a heavier song coming out, or is this going to be your solo
Not
song?
At all. Yeah, I'm not opposed to anything that comes out. I'm really looking for what's truly in my head. That's what drives me, because it's easier to not judge the ideas as much when you know that that's truly what you heard. It doesn't, I mean, it still matters if they're good or not, right? But when you're working something out, you're a lot more concerned about the worth of it. And the idea of, if I heard something in my head that this is clearly the thought that I had, you can't argue with that as much because that's really what you meant. So I'm going towards that. That's what I'm searching for. And whether that comes out in a tune that ends up having the melody played by an accordion, then that's sometimes what happens, you know? But I don't want to bastardize the music because it needs to fit into a certain mold. I want it to be what I heard and what it felt like it should be.
So is that irregardless of the, and this is going to sound bad, but just go with me for a second. Is that irregardless of the fan base or the listener? So, I mean, truly, if the accordion or the lute comes in, it comes in?
It's happened. You know? Yeah, it's happened. And like I said, that's why I am grateful when people are open-minded, because sometimes I release music where I'm like, this is That's Your Mama's Guitar album, and I don't know how people are going to feel about that. But I got an art, you know?
That's great. I mean, it's good that you can do that, because I know a lot of people feel like a certain responsibility to their fans or to the genre, and they pigeonhole themselves.
There's a real thing to that. Yeah, there's a reality to that. I mean, I definitely want my audience to feel like they're getting what they want out of me. But I guess my way of seeing it is, I don't think any merit is missing from that.
No, I get it. So just come along for the journey.
Like a different genre. Yeah.
Interesting. When you're writing your songs, are you writing them? It's probably a two-part question. Are you writing them for how they're going to come across on stage? Or are you writing the song for the song's sake? And then if so, is it difficult to translate them live?
It's the latter, and it can be. And sometimes I write something that's exactly the question that comes in mind, where it's like, ooh, this is going to be hard to put together on stage, but should that stop me from putting this on the record and seeing this through as a composition that's worth completing? So again, I try to let the music lead me, and whatever hole I dig myself in, I figure out how to get out of it later.
Because I imagine,
and sometimes that means,
I was gonna say, I imagine you're noodling around and you're playing your guitar, and you're gonna come play some stuff and go, "Holy crap, that's great!" But that may be like a one-time thing, and you got to relearn it to play it live, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of it too. I mean, you that's why there's so much work and just working of the tune before it ever feels it's ready to go live. You want it to feel as natural to you as the rest of the set. Right.
How do you find musicians to keep up with them? I mean, do you have a set of musicians that you play with, or?
I laugh because it's like there's so many great musicians that are just like killing it, and it's not very difficult to find people that are just like crushing that. So I've been really fortunate to play music with a lot of different people. I have a West Coast band, I have an East Coast band. Now I'm going to have a European rhythm section for those shows. So everybody interprets it differently, which I think is really cool because a lot of these tunes are really old to me. I've played them live a lot. They're just, I mean, you know, it can be hard to get re-inspired. So when you have a different drummer or a different bass player that sees just the smallest thing a little bit differently than how you've used to heard it for the last 10 years live, and it changes everything. And so that's actually what keeps it exciting, is that I'm so lucky to be able to play this music with more than one rhythm section.
Nice. So you mentioned Europe. You have a dates coming up then? You're taking this on the road?
Yes, we're going to be in Europe in March next year. We're still adding some stuff to the tour, so we haven't announced the dates themselves, but that's the plan.
Now, what are we going to be doing for the rest of the year then? Like through the summer, are you playing gigs or are you kind of just promoting songs or singles?
So I have actually a lot of stuff going on the road with Dethklok for a long tour that starts at the end of August. Danny Elfman has a few dates in early August that we're doing, and I always have Cirque shows in between all this stuff, and a few solo shows as well. So I got my hands full this year, which is amazing. I'm very excited, especially the long Dethklok tour is something that, you know, a lot of people have been waiting for many years, and so I'm just so ready.
Do you find it difficult juggling all those and remembering where you are, even or what gig you're playing that day? Sometimes,
yeah. I mean, I think it's more the worrying about it than the actual thing. When I do it, it's somehow it always works out. But it's just hard not to doubt yourself when you know that you have all this in front of you. You're like, do I really remember this? You know, there are times where if I need to learn a new set of music, I'm like, is there a point this computer is going to crash? You know, is there a limit to the amount of set lists that are going to fit in here? I don't know.
Get them mixed up or something, right?
Yeah, you know, but they're all so different, and I think that helps. And the fact that at this point, none of them are new set lists, or, you know, for the most part, it's gigs that I've done before. And so at least now is the luxury of, hey, we worked so hard on this. Let's go out and play it a little bit more.
Right.
So it's actually at that point where I'm like, oh, thank God, now all the work's done. Let's go and play it 30 times.
Right.
So.
Greetings from Evergreen Podcasts. We're rolling out a listener survey, and we want to hear from you. The information in the survey will help us gather statistics and in turn make our shows more appealing to advertisers. I know most people don't like ads, but this is one of the only ways our shows make money and help keep their lights on. We promise it will only take a few minutes, but the impact on our podcasts will be tremendous. As a token of our appreciation, we'll randomly select one lucky participant each month to win an exclusive merchandise package from Evergreen Podcasts. Head to evergreenpodcast.com/listenersurvey to help a show and possibly get some free stuff for doing so. We can't thank you enough for the support. Now back to the show.
The Cirque stuff you're doing, is that like a residency, or are you on the road with that?
It's a resident show. It's one of the Vegas shows. It's their Michael Jackson show. So I have a very Jennifer Batten-esque get up. I'm a character in the show. I'm part-time now, which is what allows me to be doing all the other stuff, which is, again, a godsend. And because I live in Vegas, I'm able to do it because, you know, you wouldn't be able to really fill in if you weren't local and already here.
Right.
And so it's a great, you know, I used to be full-time and I loved it. I loved all my friends in the community, and the show couldn't keep doing it at that pace. So this is kind of unbelievable that they're letting me do this.
That's great, but you say you can't keep doing it at that pace. It seems like your pace is you got more on your plate now with all this other stuff, right?
I have a lot of road stuff and a lot of different things, but the Cirque schedule is 10 shows a week, 48 weeks a year. So it doesn't really matter who you're on the road with.
I guess
it's pretty hard to, you know what I mean? And I always make that joke, you know, because everybody there has done thousands of shows. And I'm always like, do you know how many years it would take you on tour to do 1,000 shows?
Right.
Like that would be the rest of your life. Like it'll take a while.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you're touring with. So
I imagine with all this stuff you got going on, then you're not really home practicing, right? Because you're just always just working?
I'm finding pockets of time. It depends on how much every gig rehearses and how the schedule falls. But right now, it's like I'm knocking on wood. It's not that bad, but I'm trying like one day at a time. Because I don't want to burn out. I love everything that I'm doing, and I definitely want to keep at it and feel good about it.
And it's nice to be busy in a musical climate that's pretty crappy.
I'm so grateful. I don't know how it happened, but I think part of it is
hard work.
Well, yes, thank you. I was going to say that. I was just going to say the fact of everything happening at once, I think, is kind of a product of the post-pandemic thing, where now everyone's like, let's all do it at once.
Right, but that could be a blessing and a curse, right? Because everybody doing it at once also floods the market.
It floods the market. It creates scheduling conflicts. It does a lot of things. So I think that is kind of maybe a result of we had this long hiatus, and now everybody wants to be out there. So, yeah, making it work.
That's beautiful. But I know from like a fan's standpoint, difficult to, you get five. Now sometimes you get 3, 4, 5 tours in town, like same week or whatever. And there's only so much money for the average guy to go to a show. True. Even when it comes to records too, right? Everybody's got records now, and you got to kind of pick and choose. So it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Not noise, because that's not where I'm going, but there's a lot of
competition.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, and there's only so many venues, right? Because we lost a lot during the pandemic.
That's true. Yeah.
So
we didn't have that many to begin with. Yeah.
But I also think probably even as a performer, I know as a fan, going to shows, the energy is totally off the chain now, right? Because you missed it for so long.
It's incredible. And also as someone who's on stage looking at the audience, it's a completely different energy.
And you must feed off that, right?
Yes, absolutely. 1,000,000%. I would like to think that we're all more gracious, more grateful musicians after this. That's most people that I know feel that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you, were you nervous or I guess anxious when the gates opened and you finally got to get back on the stage again? Or was it like riding the bike?
Well, not like a performance standpoint. I was ready to go, but more from is stuff still going to get canceled? Because we had been waiting. Danny Elfman band's been waiting to do Coachella since 2020, which right when we were supposed to do it, right when pandemic hit, and we didn't know if that was going to come back around. And once we had found out that it was, I just did not let myself believe that it wasn't going to get canceled until the day of.
Right.
Literally the day of, when I woke up and drove down there. Jeez. And I was like, okay, you know what? I think it's too late to cancel it now. But yeah, it was, I mean, I think I just couldn't let myself get attached to the idea in case it was going to be pulled again, because it was just, yeah.
So at the end of the day, I know we talked about your hard work and your persistence, but how at the end of the day, how amazed are you that you work with such quality productions and people?
It always amazes me. I didn't really expect to have any real work in the industry. I guess, when I was younger, growing up, going to music school and all those things, I don't know if it was the culture or my family or whatever it is, but I believed that, maybe, one person out of our class is going to be the lucky one that gets one paid gig at some point in their life. It wasn't even anything that I could have dreamed of. So I certainly never expected any of the things that I'm doing, and definitely not all of them at once. So
because you look at
on the wood.
Yeah, you look at the the list of people, and it just goes on, and it's a list of like who's who, and they're all top of their game people. So that's amazing.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's why I try to earn it with the work, because I'm.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not taking that away at all. That's what I said. It's got to be hard work for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I'm just saying, like, I know it's a very, again, lucky is not the right word, right? But it's a fortunate situation to be in. So I definitely want to earn it.
And I guess on the flip side of that, and this is not taking anything away, there are tons of people who put in the same amount of work, right, and never get that.
Exactly. And that's why, I'm not unaware of how difficult and rare this is. And again, that's why I never really expected anything. So
interesting. So that's pretty much, that brings me to the end of my questions. Did I miss anything you wanted to cover?
Cool. No, I thought this was a great conversation.
Yeah, I kind of, usually my partners say, but we kind of just we kind of title it a casual conversation, and we touch on stuff, but we like to just go where it goes and be a little bit outside the box and different. So
I agree. I prefer that myself.
So I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for your contributions to the music
world. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate your time.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Good luck with the record. Good luck with everything. Be well.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Great one.
All right. Bye.
Hello out there. Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.